Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Djibouti channels. Here are the headlines of our edition's news tonight. The head of state chaired the fifth meeting of the Council of Ministers. On regional news, a forum dedicated to strengthening Sino-Ethiopian economic relations attended to Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. That were our headlines. Welcome if you join us in Djibouti channels. Under the chairmanship of His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, President of the Republic, head of government, took place this Tuesday, November, the 50th sessions of the Council of Ministers. For more detail, let's follow this report.
Under the chairmanship of His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, President of the Republic, Head of Government, took place this Tuesday, November 27, 2018, the 15th sessions of the Council of Ministers. The following texts were examined and approved. Ministry of Economy and Finance, responsible for industry. The first question is draft decree adopting the status of the Partial Guarantee Fund of the Djibouti Credit. The draft decree lays down the status of the Partial Credit Guarantee Fund, which is a national mechanism to facilitate the granting of financing the national companies through risk sharing with credit institutions, microfinance institutions, and other financial institutions. Indeed, like any other company, the fund must have a status to set the internal functioning as well as the internal regulations. This provision will be supplemented by a draft shareholders pact as soon as shareholders from the national and international private sector enter the capital. This text completes the legal framework of the structure, whose mission is to contribute to the development and promotions of a private sector and a network of small and medium-sized enterprises or industry capable of promoting the economic and social development of our country.
The fifth issue discussed at the Council of Ministers is a draft decree on the regulations of community mutual. This project aims to involve rural communities in development projects and organizing them.
Sixth question is draft order to the allocations of parcel of land for the benefit of the various ministries. The purpose of ministries land parcel of land totaling approximately 2.9 hectares located in the Liable and Mustikar neighborhoods in the Balbala municipality for the implementation of several local amenities public. The seventh question is draft order creating and allocating a perimeter of relocation zone and equipment. The eighth question is draft order for the benefit of the ministry delegated to the Ministry of Housing, Urban Planning and Environment in charge of housing. The Minister of Budget presents two draft decree. The first project aims at the creation and allocation of a perimeter of a relocation zone and the equipment assigned to the different ministry located in Balbala North as part of the Integrated Urban Development Project 2, and the second project is related to the allocations of a plot of land of 110 hectares for the benefit of the ministry delegate in charge of housing under the Zero Bidonville program. Communications, the Minister of Foreign Affairs International Cooperation spokesperson of the government has made a mission report on the participation of the delegation led by the President of the Republic to the commemorations of the centenary of the armistice to the First World War and the 11th Extraordinary Summit of the African Union held respectively in Paris and in Addis Ababa from 10 to 13 November and from 17 to 18 November 2018. It also reported on the 66th extraordinary sessions of the Council's Minister of the IGAD held on 16 November 2018 in Addis Ababa.
The General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of General Staff of the Djiboutian Army Forces, received the French Army General François Lecointre, Chief of Staff of the French Army at the Army Forces, under the name Hassan Bassouma Hassan, who is in Djibouti for a visit of 48. Excuse me. The French General Francois, for his visit, was accompanied in his trip. General Army Lecointe was accompanied, among other, by Brigadier General Éric Garnez and the commander of the French forces stationed in Djibouti, Colonel Thierry Laval, and finally the defense attaché. Upon his arrival, Army General Francois, accompanied by Army Corps General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, proceeded to the review of the troops drawn up in his honor. Then the national anthem of two countries were played on the occasions of the ceremony. After that, the two chiefs of staff and the delegation composed of Djiboutian and French officials still in the meeting room of the Hotel of Officers of Army. The General Djibouti welcomes the General of French for this meeting in exchange to Army General for this visit since his appointment as Chief of Staff of the French Army Forces. Once the official finished, the General Francois, Chief of Staff of the French armies, has a guided visit to the main economic structure and flagship of Djiboutian development, including the Dorali multipurpose port and subsequently the Area International Frank located at Beka 20 port and rail link that Djibouti has developed since the last decade. After the visit, the General of the French Army, Francois, was the host at General lunch at Camp Sheikh Osman. During this day of visits for 48 hours, the General of the French Army has been the object of all the attention from the highest authorities. This lunch for the General of the French Army has attracted the attention of the highest authority of the country. During this lunch, officials from both countries had the opportunity to reaffirm their reciprocal commitment to strengthen their cooperation in both military and civilian area. The Prime Minister Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, the head of National Security, Mr. Hassan Saeed Khaire, the Secretary General of the Presidency, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi Wa'ais, as well as the Colonel of the Policy, Mr. Abdullahi Abdi, and the French Ambassador to Djibouti, Christophe Guillou.
شعبي يدورتي بالشيدة حساريو بيسكن إذا شديو بالشيدي غالك غوشة عنون تيدا ودم خانين داريمبا يقول لمانو دنقود بانك علياي dalkiya dadkaan u dhasho sibaan ila doonayaa dalkiya dadkaan u dhasho sibaan ila doonayaa
At the launch, the Prime Minister then solemnly presented the Medal of Commander of the National Order of June 27 to the the officer under the eyes of Great Chancellor of this order, who is none other than General Zakaria. After the decorations, the General of the French Army signed the guest book of the Army, expressing gratitude and support, but symbolized the relation of friendship and the history between the Republic of Djibouti and France. The General of the French Army, who spoke at the microphone of the RTD, emphasized that the Republic of Djibouti was for France more than important partner. The Saudi religious in Djibouti, Sheikh Abdul Rabbo Ahmed Hakim, recalled that this office and the Minister of Muslims Affairs carry out many activities and programs together. This activity benefit the Djiboutian community and indicate the good relations of fraternity that band the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Republic of Djibouti. The religious added that at the request of the Minister of Muslims Affairs, the office of the Sahadi religious relocatants in Djibouti had through undertaken a series of sensitizations seminars designed to inspire the plurality and the prerogators of exercises their duty to guide the community society against the danger of terrorism and deviant ideas. At the oil depot, Dorale Terminal Horizon was held today to simulate fire suppressions in a sensitive area where millions of tons of hydrocarbons of petroleum products are stored. This exercise also consisted in helping the wounded and ensuring their evacuation. During this simulations exercise, the firefighters of Djibouti provided their expertise and their technical know-how of fire control to the agent of surveillance of the oil depot.
For the first intervention, and then the DMP Port Fire Brigade came to take over the command, and then the Djibouti Fire Brigade under the command of Colonel Mahmoud took over at 9:50 and took over the command. And as you have noticed, everything's went well so far. We will be having a wrap-up meeting later on just to summarize what went well and what need to be improved.
The General Manager of the Oil Terminal, Mr. Hussein Ahmed Hussein, and the Colonel of the Civil Protection, Mr. Mahmoud Musa, emphasized that through these exercises at the same time to safeguard the environment, to protect the employees, and to preserve the equipment and of the oil terminal, he concluded. In Djibouti city and in Obakh region, where many Yemeni refugees live, the evaluation of the army conflict in the neighboring country and the humanitarian situation are followed closely. The hope of a negotiated solutions that could lead to the cessations of hostility is reborn with the forthcoming negotiations in Sweden between Houthi rebels and representative of legitimate government of President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi. UN Special Envoy for Yemeni Martin continued his effort to bring conflict parties together. A sailing motorcycle event called the Enduro 2018 took place last Saturday behind the Limonier camp. Categories of race on 250 and 450 were engaged. The explanations with Ferdous Hussein. Let's continue the national event. The Quartier 4 populations, young and old of all kinds, combined, vibrated the rhythm of culture and musical animation in the continuity of the celebration, the National and African Day of Youth celebration, and even marking the National and African Youth Week continue in the various community. In different development center in the capital and the interior region. On regional news, in Addis Ababa, capital of Ethiopia, where a forum dedicated to strengthening Sino-Ethiopian economic relation attended in the capital of Ethiopia. For more detail, let's follow this report.
Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa is set to host a high-level Africa-China Business Forum on November 27, as hundreds of Chinese companies are expected to take part at the meeting, creating ties with their Ethiopian and African counterparts. The Ethiopian Chamber of Commerce and Sectoral Association co-organized the high-level business meeting next week in partnership with China International Exhibition Center. CIEC said on Saturday that the gathering is aimed at promoting trade and investment for mutual growth through a strengthening partnership. According to the association, hundreds of Chinese companies that are engaged in 29 different sectors are expected to take part at the meeting in a bid to create a partnership and joint venture with the Ethiopian as well as African counterparts. Chinese companies engaged in the manufacturing of building materials, ensuring linguistics, machinery, energy, equipment, agricultural and food processing products, environment protection, truck and auto parts, hoteling, management, household materials, as well as nuclear power and nuclear power and nuclear technology application are said to be among the participants of the high-level gathering.
Here we arrive at the end of this news edition. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye and have a good night.